explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. He's the founder and CEO of Fountain City Incorporation, none other than Mr. Sebastian Chedal.
Hi, thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Sebastian on Abstract Essay. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
I am the owner, CEO of Fountain City. We do AI implementation solutions for mid-sized to large companies. And I'm also the co-founder in a new business that just launched about a month or so ago called testfox.ai, and that's for testing AI systems. So we're doing a lot in AI these days, both implementation and the testing of those systems.
Mr. Sebastian Chedal, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today, let's talk about the AI implementation gap. Why most business stall after experimentation, and how to move past it. So, tell us. Let's start with the implementation gap itself. How do you define it, and what is the most common symptoms a company exhibits when they are stuck in it?
Definitely. Yes. So right now we're in this hype cycle. So there's a lot of innovation in AI, and there's a lot of tools and companies that promote how magical and transformative AI is for business. It's also moving very fast. So people are still needing to learn exactly how do you apply these benefits to your business. And there are many different reasons why this implementation gap is happening. One of them is that people might be very tool focused, and they're looking for different AI tools, and they implement them and they don't quite work the way that they think. So that can lead to a gap where it's not meeting your expectations. And then you might have an initiative, and then that initiative is not working or failing because of that. The thing that we do, or we focus on a lot, is building out systems for the business itself, leveraging processes and data. And when a company doesn't have so if a company is trying to implement AI and they don't have a very clearly defined process that the AI is following, that could be, maybe processes right now are tribal, meaning they're all in people's heads, or maybe they were never clearly defined to begin with because it's more just experience that people were having working together. So if you're trying to put an AI system into that and you don't work on the foundations first, so clear process, and then also that you have really good data that you're using to combine with that process. And process can be like a workflow, or it could be business logic, like when you make certain decisions. So that's a really that all the cases that we've seen and that the industry that we're seeing in our research also shows is that if you don't have that clear process and you're trying to build out these initiatives and also a clear ROI that you're trying to target, it's way harder. A lot more likely to fail on the implementation. So those are some of the core reasons that I'm seeing.
Why is it easy for companies to run a successful AI pilot project, but it's difficult to transition the pilot into a scalable operational system?
Yeah. So if by, pilot could be, it depends what the kind of pilot is, but, there's a lot of people are used to using now AI in a conversational mode, and, maybe even creating some custom GPTs or things like that. But in order to actually scale that out, you need to think about it does go back to that process need that I was just talking about. So, because if you're going to be replicating and scaling the process across different people in your organization, you need to think about that. You need to think about also governance. You need to think about maintenance. Also, how is the system going to learn and evolve over time? So, has that been considered? And then another reason actually is also testing. We see, oh my God, I've seen so many systems now where AI is implemented. Maybe it's a chat bot, for example. It doesn't have to be. It's just one example, but it could be a chat system. And then there wasn't any rigorous testing done on that system, and then invariably the AI system will say something that's a liability risk, or it has bias that you don't want, or it's not helpful, and then people will just throw the baby out with the bathwater and be like, oh my god, AI is not ready, and then abandon the project. But really what happened was the testing wasn't done on that system. Essentially, another way to think that I think of it is that, with innovation, usually you get three things. You get better, faster, cheaper when all three are lined up. But with AI, you really need to put in the effort to make it better. The better doesn't come just out of the box. The faster and the cheaper is the easy part with AI. But to get the better, you have the fundamentals. You have to have good testing that I just mentioned, but also those processes and the data methodology. So that part is the part that takes the effort, that is often missed, skipped, or overlooked, or people just don't have the experience yet with that to really know how to implement it well, how to be successful there.
Mr. Sebastian, is the AI implementation gap primarily a technological challenge, a cultural one, or leadership problem? What's the biggest contributing factors?
I mean, there is some cultural and leadership aspect. Technology maybe a little bit too, because companies right now are very hype driven. They if a tool is out there, they want to. Everyone is incentivized who has these businesses to make that hype, because they want to make sure that people adopt their product and their investors keep investing. But I think beyond that, it's more of a it's kind of like we're in that early stage of internet again, where everyone's trying to figure out how to even make a website, or do you need a website, or what it's going to take to make one. And so there's more of a knowledge. I would say the knowledge gap is probably more serious than the others, in meaning that people are still learning what it really takes in order to have a project be successful, and what an AI project, implementation project, or AI transformation, digital transformation really means. And it's that level of education that's needed in order to shift things over to be successful. That's kind of the biggest gap.
The biggest gap for sure. So, on the root causes and sticking points beyond the hype, what are the concrete internal barriers like data silos, legacy systems, or skill gaps that most commonly cause these initiatives to stall?
Yeah. So in terms of skill gap, there is a certain level of change that's needed here. There can be resistance within organizations as well. I forget the statistic numbers right now, but it's pretty high still. The people who, and that's a whole other conversation, talking about cultural shift and change management and so forth. But that is definitely a factor. I would say the most common problem area that we see, or opportunity area, because I like to look as problems as opportunities, is that especially with the clients that we serve a lot of clients in industry manufacturing. It's our predominant client base right now. And especially in that sector, there is a lot of processes that are missing. And what I mean by missing is that they're not fully formalized. There's a lot of companies that do business with handshakes, and Bob and Jane know how to handle their sales calls, and they do, they have their own system, but it's kind of in their head, right? It's not well processed, documented. And so when you're coming in and you want to create an AI automation or an AI solution, or have AI agents, those systems need to know how certain functions or operations work. The other area that it needs to, so the other thing with data is that it takes a different mindset with data approach as well. The one very successful approach is to really shift your thinking within the company about how you handle data, meaning the transition, or the drive here, the more like the where AI is kind of encouraging us to go, this future technology, is with this concept of data capture. And it's really, if you can start in your company, start to capture data everywhere you can, it's amazing how many new services can be then generated from that data capture. So if you start recording all of your meetings, or if you are a leader and you start capturing down all your thoughts, all your challenges, all just really start documenting all of that, you can then start using that data with AI systems in ways. But there's other challenges with data too. Sometimes organizations have a lot of data and it needs to be properly organized and grouped, data engineering. And sometimes data needs to be synthesized or scraped, or collected. Like we've done projects where we're looking at email systems and then collecting email over a person's last 20, 25 years in order to create a legacy knowledge base of that person and what they know, because there's also a lot of people retiring right now, and knowledge capture is a thing. So if that's the kind of AI project you want to be doing, then you need to think a lot about the data as well. So processes and data, just it keeps coming back to those two things. But yes, cultural resistance can be a thing. I think the most successful organizations I've seen are where it comes from top and bottom, meaning the people who are in the field doing the work, they're interested in these systems because it's going to help them to do less of the things they don't want to be doing and more of the things they want to be doing. So AI can help increase that gap, that not that gap, but like that breadth of their focus. And then for management and leadership, it's often a drive towards like increasing their top of the line and decreasing bottom of the line costs. So getting that getting that the focus of what we want to be doing for AI from those two perspectives is good. And then when I see companies some companies I've seen, it's more of like a check the box approach. It's like, oh, we've been told from our investors or upper management or our holding company that we need AI, and so they just want to put AI in their business in order to show that they're doing something in AI. Those projects are also they're not as likely to be successful if that's the incentive, because when things are driven by a real need, either problems or opportunities, that's when we see the best results as well. So having an authentic desire or commitment to being AI first or AI forward in the business is really essential to have the biggest impact.
Mr. Sebastian, how does a lack of clear ROI measurement in the experimentation phase doom AI projects before they even have a chance to scale?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is also really a good one. So I think it does tie in well to what I was just talking about with having a clear reason or purpose behind the project. If you have a very clear goal, like here's a task that's taking somebody, or it's taking our team, every person in our team spending 5 hours a week doing this thing that is repetitive and could be automated now with an AI system that before AI wasn't possible. I can give examples of those, but if that's you, if that's what the goal is, you're trying to save, let's say, 5 people 5 hours a week. You can quantify that into a number of hours or dollars saved per month. And then when you design the project and you're running the project, this AI initiative, you really know what your target is, you know what you're trying to optimize for, and you have a very clear indication of success when you're able to achieve that. And you can go back and measure 3 months in or 2 months in and make sure, learn what's going right, what's wrong, and then optimize. And then you can also have a very clear ROI time frame. Like if maybe in that case it's like a 3 month, or between 3 to 9 months ROI. Let's say that's pretty typical for something like that, and so 6 months on average. And so you should be able to see that ROI come in, and then once you've hit that ROI, after that you're just saving time indefinitely after that, or saving money after that. So those because you have that concrete focus, it keeps the implementation focused, it keeps the solution focused. If you don't have that focus, then you're more likely to just try and have a system in there that is it's more experimental. And there's nothing wrong with experimenting. I actually think it's good to be experimenting. It's good to try different tools. It's good to try different things out. But there's a difference between an experimentation phase with AI and an actual implementation project where you're trying to get clear ROI and a return from it. And that focus is really important.
Mr. Sebastian, as a founder and CEO of Fountain City, what are your short term and long term goals?
Oh, short-term goals right now it's interesting. We have record high number of proposals being written, so that's been awesome. And then, but what I'm seeing the most right now is that clients, the people we talk to, I do a lot of, speaking events and so forth. There's a lot of education that's still really needed right now. So I love it when I have the opportunity to share knowledge or, to help people with insights. I have some background in teaching in the past. And so I'm really enjoying this part of the phase. So I've been doing as much as I can to try and help people along. That's so right now it's just kind of like an educational phase that I'm very focused on as we grow to help serve customers. And then long-term goal, I mean, I'm very excited to just see where things are going right now. I think a lot about the future. I think a lot about creating long-term sustainable solutions and systems. And I'm here to try and be as much of service as I can to the world and to our clients. So I'm just here to see where things can grow in the future and how far they can go.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Sebastian, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be a founder as well as CEO like you?
Well, it's an interesting question. I mean, I think really focusing one important thing is to really focus on the people on the team first, and then second on the product or the concept idea. Not that that's not important, but I think people are the number one most important thing in an organization. I like to approach problems backwards. So one example of that for this would be look. One thing I've done is studied, if I was an angel investor, what company or business would I invest in? And studying it from that perspective can help you to become a better leader, a better owner of your company, because you're thinking about what it is other people think about your position from the outside. So I would say that's also really important. And then otherwise, I would say, pick a company or direction that you're really excited about, enthusiastic about, and have passion, because that's what's going to take you through the difficult times that you have in business. Because, business is a lot of ups and downs. It's not just ups forever. It's also very challenging. So you need that passion to kind of come to that passion will bring the authenticity, and then that will carry you through everything.
Thank you for that advice, Mr. Sebastian. And what will be your recommended book or books that influence your journey?
Books. Let's see. Um, I do like I think it's called The Lean Startup. That one is pretty good for starting out concepts. It talks about short cycles of innovation in order to get that feedback to develop your product or idea. And then I'm trying to think of other books right now. I'm a bit on the, I'm feeling a bit on the spot in terms of, I do read a bunch of books, but um, I'm gonna put a pin in that. The Effective Executive from Peter Drucker. It's a pretty old one, but that one's really great too, about leadership. Um, and right now I'm listening a lot to, it's a podcast, but Two Bobs is really great as well if you're
Mhm.
in a agency or creative agency. Um, Very different book, Principles and Pathways Beyond Sustainability from David, I forget his last name right now, but that's a book about something completely different. It's a book about permaculture, but it has design principles in them. I think it has 12, and those design principles apply to business as well as everything else, personal life and environmental systems. I'm really big into system theory, so I read a lot about system theory, system design as well, which is not directly related to CEO business management, but that's kind of also the kind of person I am. So yeah, I've thoughts in there, and I'll read different things like anthropology and then pull ideas from that as well into business. So yeah, I like diversity of sources.
Thank you for the recommended books, Mr. Sebastian. And on the future and overcoming inertia, what is the simple, most important piece of advice you have for a CEO who's frustrated to their AI initiative have not moved beyond the pilot stage?
Mm. So I would say, well, first, it would be important to understand why, what is the barrier? What is the problem with those pilots? Is it a lack of planning? Was it an unclear ROI? Was it resistance within the team? Things that can help is fostering a culture of innovation and experimentation is very helpful and good. So we've done internally, and I've seen great success in other clients as well, where they have, for example, a meeting once a month or once a week where people can just show things that they're doing. I think it's also important to instill a culture of AI forwardness or AI curiosity in your company. It's also important to understand if you have AI resistance within your organization, and what's your what are you going to do about that? Is that something that is acceptable, or is that, do you need to have a cultural shift around that thing? Otherwise, I would say if initiatives are failing, I would start smaller. Look at what you're trying to achieve and then really tie it down to pain points. Are always easier than opportunities. So what are your pain points? Do you have small pain points that you can look at? And then going back to what I was saying before, data and process are super crucial. So if you're going to be addressing a pain point, do you have very clear processes, SOPs or whatever it might be around that problem area? And if not, create those processes for that specific thing before you even get to the AI elements of it. So it's kind of like a mapping, solving of the process, and then the AI comes in and automates that. So those are my recommendations, or recap recommendations.
With the rapid evolution of AI, does waiting to implement pose a existential risk to a business, or is it there's still time to be strategic?
There's still time to be strategic, I think, for sure. I think it depends on a few things, though. It depends on your industry and the climate of innovation between you and your competitors as well. So, what I mean by that is, well, an analogy would be, for example, with websites. At first, when the internet was just becoming a thing in the late 90s, it wasn't super urgent that all businesses have websites right away. But then at a certain point, it was, because if you just didn't have a website, you business was just not taken seriously anymore, or you were just losing direct business that you would be getting if you had a website. It's a little different with AI, because with AI, we're talking about productivity gains per person, or the ability to increase the amount of revenue you can have or time you can have available per person in your business. Right now, there's a big focus on time. I would say time savings is generally, or money savings is kind of a more obvious direct benefit from the AI implementations today. And so if you are, let's say, holding back, and another company is moving forward heavily with doing, time saving or cost reduction, and then you're directly competing with them. And in some fields, by the way, this is already happening. So in some fields, like, there isn't actually time to adapt and adopt these things. So it depends on your field. So understanding industry is very important. But if another competitor is moving ahead fast, they're going to be able to outcompete you in terms of productivity per person or per project, or undercut your prices. And so there is this inevitable drive or push that is going to make AI unavoidable in all businesses that are going to want to compete. There are fields that are going to be more protected, of course, like if you're working in a very predominant person to person type application, if you're a doctor, or if you're psychiatrist, anything that's working with people are more insulated, but there's still going to be areas related to your service that are going to be affected or impacted by AI. Could be administrative filing of paperwork, or it could be OCR scanning and matching of documents between each other, and then using AI to do some kind of an assessment on a large set of data, or helping people in certain practices to get answers that are more accurate more quickly, and so forth. So I think that's kind of the pressure. And then later, so right now we're in that optimization phase where a lot of AI projects are kind of in that. And then later, I believe, if prediction now on my side, but I pretty confident with my prediction. But right now we're in that optimization phase, and then later we're going to get into the acceleration or augmentation phase, where it's not just about cost saving. And right now there's all these companies left and right that are trying to do the same work but with less people, right? They're trying to optimize. But I think later you're going to see the opposite, which is scaling back up to have more people, but just having a lot more output per person, as we kind of really hyper scale the amount of productivity that we've ever been doing before as a society. So that's kind of the arc that I see coming.
Well, Mr. Sebastian, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world as a founder and CEO of Fountain City. Can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Thank you so much. Yeah. So if you're a business who's mid-sized or bigger and you're interested in our services, you can go to fountaincity.tech, which is the website that's being shared right now. If you have a AI system that you want to have tested, you can go to testfox.ai, and that testing is for any sized business. That's not just for mid-plus. Otherwise, you can follow me on LinkedIn, and I do have a YouTube channel that I just started as well, if you're interested in free-form content there.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Sebastian Chedal, because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering AI business to come. So, Mr. Sebastian, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. It was a pleasure being on your show. Thank you, everyone.
More to come, people. See you soon.